Yeah, guys, welcome to my stream. Obviously, well, mine and Hanno's, of course, we're sharing today. His one is called off to the boundary. Sorry, I'm half asleep. I just had a kit because I was at work this morning. Sorry, guys. So I've done well to get here actually early as I have. I am actually early for a change, believe it or not. For a stream. So, but anyway, yeah. So off to the boundary, episode 54, and of course I'm doing my review of England yesterday. Their record chase of a pretty easy win, really. Nothing to talk about, really. It's how easy were Oman? Oman, were they easy? But you know, we will obviously review that, and obviously Hanno will be on to do his talk about the World Cup as well. We'll obviously do predictions for that, and I've got my guest as well backstage. Another guest, Manny. He's on here again, Mr. T, voice of the radio. I'll bring him on. Be up, Manny. How are you, my friend?
All good, Steve. All good. Thank you very much indeed for having me on. And well, I've got a sort of a different background. I only hope that my face is a bit clearer now for everyone to see. The lighting might need a little bit of working on, but
Yeah,
yeah,
not as good as your old one, was it? As your old place with that.
yeah, but I'll have to find a way to work through it. But yeah, all's well, all's good in my neighborhood, my neck of the woods, and I'm happy.
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, be up Chelsea fan. Be up Mr. B. Yeah, and be up Manny as well. Chelsea fan, say. Yeah, and obviously we're getting to talking about this. I mean, I don't know unless we're going. Well, yeah, we do this first, and then because obviously Anna will be in at some stage to obviously go into the World Cup, the rest of the World Cup, all the other games and stuff and predictions. So. But yeah, I want to talk about this, Manny. Walk in the park for England, wasn't it? Men against boys.
Yeah, you could say
Really?
that. And here is really the banner. As you said, Oman, it was an easy win. They crushed Oman by 8 wickets, but crucially, they've earned a stay of execution because, as we're going to discuss later, some other big teams have not been so lucky. But, you know, we needed a performance. We wanted a good win. And I think we were able to get that. But again, we can't really celebrate. I think Joss Butler said it perfectly when he said that we had to earn our right to worry about the issues of net run rate and the weather. And all we can do now is make sure that we do what we can do. And didn't even take 100 balls, as the report says. So hopefully more of the same against Namibia.
Yeah. Can I read through this, Manny, and then we'll discuss it a bit more?
By all means, go ahead.
Cheers,
Set
my
the
friend.
ball rolling.
Right, okay. After all the angst and indecision, England are back in the game with a ruthless dispatching of an outclassed Oman. After routing their opponents for 47 in the space of 80 balls at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua, they needed just 19 to hunt that total down, to hoist their troublesome net run rate firmly into the black. Exactly. Adil Rashid was the pick of an outstanding 4-prong attack with figures of 4 for 11. Brilliant. Before a turbocharged chase capped by Joss Butler's 24 not out from 8 balls. Assuming England can achieve a further 2 points against Namibia on Saturday, Scotland will be left with the daunting task of beating the Group B leaders Australia. They hope to progress to the Super 8, and even Josh Hazlewood, at his most tongue-in-cheek, might balk at permitting that prospect. Josh Hazlewood, shame on you. Anyway, England quicks flex in power play. England entered this contest needing not only to win, but to win quickly, given Scotland's near 4-point edge in the net run rate stakes. Not to mention the prospects of shenanigans in the Scots' own final contest against Australia on Sunday. To that end, Butler decided he wanted to know how many runs we're chasing. after choosing to bowl first at the toss. The answer it would soon transpire was not many. The tone was set in a ferocious power play as England unleashed their heaviest artillery of the tournament to date. 2 wickets apiece for Jofra Archer and Mark Wood, allied to a probing 3-over spell of left-arm seam from the returning Reece Topley, reduced Oman to a flaky 25 for 4, which immediately became 25 for 5 as Rashid announced his own arrival with another breakthrough first ball. Topley surely counts as England's most luckless campaigner of recent times. He could have been a key component of the 2022 title triumph, but had he not rolled his ankle on a boundary marker during a warm-up match in Brisbane. And he then broke his finger while tracking well during the doomed 50-over World Cup in India before Christmas. Yeah, unlucky that guy. But here he set the tone with an exemplary one-run opening over, remarkably. Brilliant, I thought. His first at a T20 World Cup since the 2016 event in India, whereupon Archer struck with his second legal delivery. As Pratik Athaval, I think that's right how you say it.
It's Pratik Athavale.
Oh, right, okay. Atavali, is it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Followed up an opportunistic slap through the covers with a low chance to fill short cover. Archer made it 2 in as many overs when Aqib Ilyas, is that right? Ilyas?
Yep, that's right. Well,
chopped another low catch to Will Jacks at backward point, who clung on with a juggle, unlike Moeen Ali slipped 2 balls later, who let a routine snick from Zishan Maksud flop out of his grasp.
Yep. Well,
it scarcely mattered, though. Maksud had no desire to stay in line to a sharp loosener from Wood, as he lobbed a return catch off the Quick's first ball. And through Kashyap Prajapati, is that right? That's right.
Prajapati. Yeah. Listen, I hope you don't think that by saying well done, I was taking. Yeah, you well.
No, these are difficult names, man, for me. Difficult, mate, these names. But
I want to say.
So you're breaking up. You're breaking up, mate. You're breaking up. You're breaking up there,
I'm
man.
sorry, but okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to say that when I said well done, I wasn't taking the mickey. You really are doing a good job.
Oh no. No, I'm doing well because they're very difficult to pronounce, these names, aren't they? Really, some of these anyway. Put a dent in Topley's figures with a slashed 6 over the short cover boundary. He too had no response to an injection of raw pace, as Wood cleaned him up with a clothed pull to mid wicket. Rashid ripped through the rest. He sure did. With a game broken wide open, Rashid was the perfect weapon to exploit Oman's soft underbelly, and he did so with a display of unrelenting superiority. 4 overs on the trot, a wicket in each, and just a solitary boundary, cuffed through point by Shoaib Khan amid a remarkable 20 dot balls. His first wicket came from his biggest ripper of the lot, an agenda-setting leg break that almost turned sideways past Khalid Kaul's unbalanced sweep, and left Josh Buttler with so far to reach with his gloves that he missed his first attempt at the stumping, and only succeeded with a second due to Kaul's galling lack of game awareness. Moeen made amends for his drop in Rashid's second over with a comfortable take off a loose drive from Mehran Khan, by which stage Wood had bagged his 50th T20I wicket with another full-length rocket to induce an inside edge from Ayan Khan. Rashid's third was a pinpoint googly ripping through Fayyaz Butt's gate after a previous attempt had thumped his pads. And when he repeated the trick with his penultimate ball to bowl Kalimullah for 5,
Kalimullah.
Oman were 47 for 9 and sunk. 2 balls later, Archer was back for his final over before Butler had even considered turning to a 5th bowler, and he duly closed it out by inducing Shoaib Khan into a hoist behind square for Butler to mop up the resistance, tracking back towards fine leg. Yeah, England in a hurry. Look at that, ball by ball, the chase versus Oman. 6-6, wicket, dot, 1-1-1, 5 no balls, dot, 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 wicket, 4-4, dot, 4-4, 6-4-4. Very quick. Salt and battery, I like that. Very good. The crunchy numbers said that England's could go past Scotland's net run rate if they won the contest in 5.2 overs or less. Well, as long as his 3 ball 12 lasted, Phil Salt gave the impression that a 1.2 over finish was more realistic. Bilal Khan's first 2 balls were full and inviting, and got the treatment with mighty smacks over wide, long off for 6. His third, however, was dragged back half a yard to knock back his off stump via a thin inside edge. Thereafter, it wasn't quite so full throttle, but not exactly a complicated scenario. After allowing himself a sighter, Will Jats cracked a firm drive down the ground off a Kalimullah no ball, only to top edge a similarly ferocious stroke in the same over. Johnny Bairstow, however, bouted his first delivery over the covers for 4, whereupon Butler bludgeoned Bilal for 4 fours and a 6 in his second over. Bairstow then bashed his second 4 in as many balls, and that was the end of that. That was the end of that, Manny.
Yes,
in
it
no
was.
time. I thought they put up better contests than this, Oman, earlier on in the competition. I thought they'd done a bit better than this, but were they just licking their wounds and just looking to go home, really, on the plane, Manny, do you think?
You mean Oman?
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, this is basically a case of a determined opponent looking to right the wrongs of the early part of their campaign, playing against an opponent that was literally, out of their depth and in over their heads, you could say. And we shouldn't really disrespect Oman because they did an excellent job qualifying for the tournament. But I think the captain, the Oman captain, I think it was... I don't quite remember his name. I mean, that's very unprofessional of me. But he did say something to the effect that they don't really have the ability to play very fast bowling. They often normally practice against bowlers who barely hit the 140 km/h mark. And the captain is Aqib Ilyas. He was the one who said that. Aqib Ilyas. And he basically said that they've never been used to real express bowling. So when you have Jofra Archer and Mark Wood bowling those absolute rockets, literally throwing them down, I mean, they're not throwing them down per se because that would be a no ball technically, but they're literally spitting fire, and Oman just didn't really have an answer to that. And aside from Mitchell Starc from Australia, there isn't really any other bowler in that team who can say that they have the express pace. It was wonderful to see the bowlers really settle in and get into a rhythm. And I think what they really, really lacked was the ability to get themselves into the groove prior to the start of the tournament, because you will know that against Scotland and definitely against Australia, the bowling was loose and limp and lightweight, and it got the treatment it deserved. But here you could see they literally... they went hammer and tongs, all 10 wickets being shared by Archer, Wood and Rashid. Spare a thought, of course, for Topley, and I think the author made it crystal clear that it was his economical beginning that really set the tone. You could say that it sort of softened them up a little bit. And then when Archer and Wood came on to bowl their thunderbolts, the Omani bowlers had no clue. And I
too
still go
fast
back
for them, wasn't it? It's too fast for them, Manny, that pitch as well. It's too quick.
Yep,
and those were too quick for them.
Exactly, and you could say that England were too furious with the start they had to the tournament. So
Yeah,
too fast, too furious.
too fast, too furious. Yeah, yeah. They
But
could put a bit of diesel in their engine, didn't they? And yeah,
yep,
in diesel.
absolutely,
But yeah,
absolutely.
but yeah, I thought it was really good. I mean, okay, I know it's only against Oman and not being disrespectful of them at all, but they're not really top class opposition, are they? Really? And
No,
this was a trouncing, and it was just men versus boys, and that was it. We schooled them totally. I mean, as you see with Topley, 9 for 12. I'm very unlucky not to get a wicket, really. Obviously, Archer, 3 for 12 and 1 maiden there. Economy of 3.60. These have got to be their best figures ever for these bowlers, It's not often they get figures like this, will it?
no, not at
3
all,
for
not at all.
12, no maidens for Mark Wood. And, of course, Adil Rashid. Amazing. Great bowling. Spin. The spin really did, bewilder them, those batsmen.
Exactly. And the thing about Rashid, of course, was that he was also comparatively ineffective in the first 2 games. But this time around, I think maybe with the conditions perhaps favouring some of the bowlers, especially the spinners, he was able to work his magic. And it just goes to show, Steve, that when you're a leg spinner, and the late and great Shane Warne, Lord rest his soul, would also say that there would be moments when the ball sometimes just doesn't come out of your hand at all. But some days after you get a rest a little bit and start to get your mind back in, it starts to work again. And he talked in his autobiography about how he was absolutely fit to be tied at being dropped for the 4th test against the West Indies. But he returned to form in the subsequent one-day series, and it has to be said that that decision to drop him was the best thing that could have happened to him, because he ended up becoming a much better bowler and not really taking his spot for granted in a way. And, Warney was always that type of bowler who knew how to give the ball a huge rip. He had really strong shoulders and arms, which he developed when he was a little child. So Rashid now has found a way to get his bowling to work a little bit. And if he can maintain this against Namibia, then that would be really good. But let's assume that England do qualify for the Super 8s and Scotland do lose to Australia in the process of that, and we beat Namibia. We're still not going to have it all too easy, because we could end up in the same group as India. And we all know how well they play spin, especially leg spin. And they've got some very aggressive spinners of their own. I don't know if
just to get through would be something, man. We just got to get through, don't we? That's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
And then worry about it then. Cross that bridge when we get to it,
Yeah, I agree. You have a point. And what's also really makes me happy is that England haven't gone too overboard with their celebrations, because they know the job is only half done. So you got to make sure that you complete the job. Could it very well be that, like Steve Waugh's Aussies in '99, we could end up winning all of our games afterwards to go on and win the title? It will remain to be seen, but all we can do is just do whatever we can and, control what we can control, because, weather and conditions still play spoil sport. And as we will see, they certainly played spoil sport today.
Yeah, there's been a lot of unfortunate things. Obviously, the weather intervening for certain teams. We know with Sri Lanka, of course, as well. That hampered them, stopped them doing anything. They've gone home because of that. Obviously, it's not all just the weather that's stopped teams. I'm a bit surprised with New Zealand. I don't know about you, that they didn't manage to get through. This is probably the first time for a long while that they haven't got through to a Super 8s or semis or anything, really, for a very long time. We always expect them in at least a semi or something, don't we? Or even the final, New Zealand. So that is a shock, I think. But But West Indies, you got to give them credit. I actually thought they weren't going to get through. West Indies, I don't know why, because they look like they're on it, don't they? West Indies now, they look like they mean it. They mean business. So maybe we all taking them lightly again, thinking that they're not going to turn up again, and not going to concentrate and not take things seriously. But it shows that I think we're wrong, because I was wrong. I thought they wouldn't qualify. I thought I'd put them in third in their group and not qualifying. So I was totally wrong. But obviously we're not talking about them. We're obviously talking about England. So we get back to this. But yeah, as you say as well about all those games that have been rained off and stuff. But we'll talk about that in a little while, because there could be a possibility in the Namibia game. There could be a chance of rain. Hope not. But, that could really spoil it for us if that happens. But we'll obviously go into that. I just want to sort of talk a bit more about this. Well, I might go into the table actually now. And let's get to them. So it looks like, obviously, in Group A, I think India are pretty much done. Well, they're through, aren't they? So they are through with 6 points there. United States, I would say, are still got in their control, still in the driving seat for second. So
actually, I think if you take a look at it, Steve, they've actually secured second spot.
Oh, they have. Sorry. Yeah, of course. Oh, is this what you're talking about with Pakistan and whatever and USA?
Yeah, exactly. Because what happened in the game today, it was supposed to be, I believe, the USA against Ireland. If the USA had lost, then Pakistan would have had the lifeline. But with the match being abandoned, the US gets an extra point, which sends them through to the next stage. And it now means that both co-hosts are in the Super 8s, and it's a historic moment for American cricket. So the Star-Spangled Banner waves very proudly indeed.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know about that today, mate. So I was probably, I'd say I was out and stuff, and then I also had a bit of a kick. So done well to get up for this, to be honest. So
that's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But it's good. That's good. In a way, I'm glad for the USA. I think they deserved it. I really do. For their cricket they played, and it's good for the country as well. There, even better for them. Of course, Pakistan will obviously missed out yet again, because I'm sure they thought they had a really good chance, maybe getting second. But obviously the rain spoilt that for them. So, right, Group B. Yeah, obviously this is the one with England. So the net run rate now for England is 3.081 in third there. And we need that game to be on against Namibia, of course. Obviously to win that. Because we overtook Scotland's, didn't we? Their net run rate of 2.164. And we also got the bonus point, of course, which has helped, which is good. Yeah. So I think it's all looking good. And we just want this game to be on against Namibia. We really do. To really give us a chance. And then, of course, Australia to thrash Scotland. Do you think that's possible, Manny, that they will thrash Scotland? I think Scotland have been really good, though. Do they deserve to be thrashed?
Yeah, just hold on a minute, please. I'm actually trying to, get some information about New Zealand's thing for later on to discuss. But to answer your question, There has of course been a huge controversy regarding Josh Hazelwood's rather tongue-in-cheek
Yeah.
comments, and I think the senior figures in the Australia team have made it crystal clear that that is not the way they would consider going about playing, because any kind of lackadaisical effort would be immediately noticed and summarily punished, and that is simply not the Australian way. I do think there was a precedent where they did try something like that. It was in the '99 World Cup, aforementioned, of course, where they literally they batted exceptionally
Mm.
dreadfully slowly against the West Indies to ensure that they would get the result they needed. Because if memory serves me right, they lost to both Pakistan and New Zealand in the group stage, which meant that when they qualified for the Super Six, they had no points. So after those losses, I think there was no margin for error, and they had to do what they had to do in order to ensure that they went through. But this is a completely different kettle of fish altogether, because Australia have already more or less secured their position as group winners. I seriously don't see them losing to Scotland, and even if they do, um, you know, there is, of course, a huge difference in the run rates of both Australia and Scotland. So I really can't see Scotland doing anywhere near enough to ensure that they would top the group. And in that '99 World Cup, of course, there was that Zimbabwe-South Africa game, which was proved to be
Mm.
um, an absolute thrown game by the Proteas. And what that did was it completely mucked up our chances of qualifying for the Super Six, because we had to beat India at the Oval, and we couldn't do that. Why Alex Stewart opted to bowl first instead of batting first, I will never know.
Mm.
But there will be no room for jiggery pokery over here, because Australia are going to look to try to play as well as they can and make sure they have the momentum. They could
Yeah.
obviously, get some squad players in to have a few minutes under their belt, and they're perfectly within their rights to do that. But they will obviously go out to make sure that they try and win. Scotland are also going to do whatever they have to do to try and win. Now, the sad part is weather has played spoil sport throughout this tournament. And if the prospect of England versus Namibia being affected by rain isn't bad enough, I don't know what the forecast will be for Australia Scotland. And if that gets affected by rain or bad conditions like the USA Ireland game was affected today, then effectively we might end up going the way of Sri Lanka, New Zealand, and Pakistan. And it just goes to show that this particular tournament being held in the US and the West Indies,
Yeah.
I mean, it's thrown up all sorts of drama, the storylines. You know how in the FA Cup, all of these big teams get knocked out in the earlier rounds?
Mm.
It's a bit like this,
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. The upsets. Yeah. But yeah, I'll tell you what though. I'm very impressed with Afghanistan. I really am impressed with them. You could say they haven't played all the real best team. Okay, they beat New Zealand. Okay, New Zealand, that was a crushing win over New Zealand. I was surprised how, really, really well they took them apart, New Zealand, and beat them. Could this be their tournament, Manny, do you think? Could they have a real chance of doing something here? Maybe getting to semis or the final? At least one of those?
They're going to have to really work exceptionally hard in the Super 8s to pull off another
Mm.
win. And it's not going to be very easy for them. I remember the Bangladesh team, which magnificently qualified for the for the next stage of the tournament, famously at India's expense, along with Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
and they also pulled off an excellent win over South Africa in that next round. It wasn't quite enough to get them through to the semis, but they proved that their journey in that tournament was not really a fluke. But it also has to be said that that South African team were as great a team as they were prone to some occasional poor performances. That was one, and their capitulation in the semi-final against Australia was another.
Yeah.
An almighty choke, as it were. So as far as Afghanistan are concerned, look, that win over New Zealand pretty much put them in the driver's seat in many ways, because obviously with their heritage, they were able to. They already made a light work of Uganda. Beating Papua New Guinea was pretty much a given in many ways, and we did say, many of us said that the group, that C group could be the group of death, because I was predicting that West Indies and New Zealand would go through and Afghanistan would just miss out, unluckily. But the way they've developed in these last few months under the tutelage of Ian Jonathan Leonard Trott, that's right, our Trotty, has been has been absolutely magnificent. And they obviously have a great number of players who regularly play in the IPL because it's geographically a lot closer for them, and they're able to earn some cash. Obviously, if they were able to get some more money, they can really develop themselves even further as a test nation as well. But with performances like this in these global events, and if they're able to do it so consistency, you know, they've got an amazing team right now. You take a look at someone like Mohamed Nabi, you think that he'd be more or less in the twilight of his career. He's now recently been ranked as the top all-rounder in T20 internationals. So many of these players who have been a part of the side for several years and who have seen the ups and downs and have been a part of the huge rise, you know, they're still continuing to play and play well, and you know, it's a sight to see. And as Australia showed with that innings from, you know, the big show, Mad Max, Glenn Maxwell, it might take something really, really special to stop them. But now that they're in the Super 8s, you would not want to bet against them. And I can only hope and pray that they somehow end up finishing second in the group, because we should qualify and go into the first and Super 8 group. That way we end up facing the winners of Group A. We'd be the runners-up of Group B. And the winners of Group C and the runners-up of Group D would complete that set. I would not want Afghanistan in our group. And I also probably might have to pick my poison when it comes to either South Africa or Bangladesh. South Africa have an amazing pace attack, but the Bangladeshi spinners are, you know, different gravy altogether. But as far as Afghanistan are concerned, you know, in theory, there is no limit as to how high they can continue to fly. But as Neil Tennant famously sang, the higher you fly, the further you fall. Not in the same context necessarily, but it'll be tough to see where their next win in the Super 8 will come from. And the next game they play against the West Indies is obviously going to be the winner-take-all game. And so whoever wins that game obviously will have a big advantage going into the Super 8s. So, you know, it will remain to be seen. If Afghanistan are unfortunate enough to draw Australia in the Super 8s among the other teams, then they're going to have to fight really hard to make sure that they can go through. And South Africa are not going to be mugs either. Whoever qualifies in the second, I think the USA also being in that other group will probably make it a bit easier for Afghanistan in theory. But Pakistan thought it would be easy, and we all know what happened there. So, yeah, I'd like to see them maybe get one win in the Super 8s. If they can get two, they'll put themselves with they'll give themselves a great chance of making the semi-finals. But it will remain to be seen what happens.
Yeah, as you say, it all depends what group they're in next in the Super 8s, doesn't it? What teams they're going to get. So I still think they got a great chance. They could be outsiders to do something here. I think if they could at least make the semis, that'd be success for them, surely. A successful campaign in this. Further than they've ever gotten it. They've never got to a semi, I believe. So, you know, I think that'd be amazing. I think they're a very talented, entertaining team, Afghanistan. And I think this has been, you know, suited them, these wickets. It really has. The bowlers and the batsmen. It suited both of them. And so I just hope that, you know, more power to them. I think if they can keep this up, I think sometime soon they could be winning something big, you know. like one of these tournaments. They
Yeah,
keep this going.
if they can, but let's also not forget that some of the more experienced players are also getting on a little bit, and they will need to be replaced. The likes of, as I mentioned, Nabi and maybe a few others, they will need to be replaced. And as long as there is some good talent coming through, if their success can inspire a lot more Afghan youth to take up cricket and some more talent comes through, then, that can only be a good thing. And I think it's also good that, Afghanistan do have test status. They have played a test, if memory serves me right, yeah. But
Yeah.
they're also being made to, justify the opportunities they're getting, and they're doing really well. But, all teams will have purple patches and, upward trajectories, and yet we all know that what goes up will start to come down, and it's how they'll manage that come down that will determine, their claim as a cricketing force.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm glad for them that they've done so well here. They've been showing for a long time that they're a very good team. We know what they're capable of doing. Upsetting the bigger teams, if you like to class them as the smaller team now. I think they're emerging into one of the bigger teams now, Afghanistan. So you can say that because they're beating the likes of New Zealand, crushing them. I still think going back to New Zealand, maybe some of those players are nearing their end of their career.
Yes.
Probably this has been their last tournament for a lot of those players from New Zealand. Been great players. I think Trent Bolt's still been amazing. He was incredible in that last one, even though they lost against West Indies. I thought he was amazing still. And I think he's, is he late 30s now? Trent Bolt? I think he
I don't
might
think he,
be 37.
I don't think he's. Let me check his age for you right now, but Williamson as well. You just wonder if they might have another tournament in them. And to answer your question on Bolt's age, the Lightning Bolt is 34, and he will turn
Not as old as
35.
I thought. Oh.
Yeah, he will turn 35 in the matter of a month or so. But there are some other players like Williamson, of course, who Williamson's 33, so technically he could have another T20 World Cup and maybe a final
still got time.
ODI World Cup. And also you think of Tim Southey, who's 35. Maybe time is not going to be his best friend as it happens. But
in class, though, been awesome players, great players, and for all this time. But I'm sure they got a few coming through. I'm sure they must have some coming through for New Zealand.
There'll be a few. There'll be a few coming through, and obviously, when Martin Guptill was sent on his merry way, I was one person who thought that was a little bit harsh. But Finn Allen and Devon Conway have proven that they obviously deserve to continue serving New Zealand. Finn is, of course, 25 years old, and as far as Mr. Conway is concerned, he's 32. Not as young, but he will have a few more years in him.
Glenn Phillips, I think, is another one. But I don't know.
Glenn Phillips is 27. 27, so he's got a big future. And he is, of course, South African born in East London in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. So
Ravindra, of course. Quality as well.
Yep, absolute quality, very young. I think what Mitch McClanahan was trying to say was that when New Zealand came into the tournament, obviously they didn't play in the first round, so they were a little bit ring rusty in certain respects. Yes, exactly. And I think it's maybe they could have selected people like Munro, who could have added to the squad. But again, hindsight's always a a good thing. And they were one. Their squad was
He
one
could have
squad that
produced some magic moments, Munro, couldn't he? Yeah, but anyway, but no. Sorry, Manny. Carry on. I had to get that joke in. Sorry.
No. Listen. I love these jokes. I mean, I'm a nostalgic, and I think there might have been an advertisement where somebody was singing the song "Magic Moments," promoting I think it was some sort of a chocolate. I think from Terry's. I don't quite remember which one it was.
Quality Street.
I'll have to. Yes, Quality Street. You're right. Absolutely, that's right. It wasn't Terry's. My bad. So. Yeah, so maybe the New Zealand squad could have had a few tweaks to it, but that squad actually looked very powerful, and I was predicting it would go all the way. But I mean, maybe not necessarily all the way, but it would have at least reached the semi-finals. But it just goes to show that every single team, at least once in their lifetime, will have a tournament where things just go belly up and things don't go according to plan. And the way conditions have been in the USA and the Caribbean. Rain has played a factor, and it just goes to show that if you aren't able to hit the ground running and have some warm-ups and get yourself acclimatized, you are going to struggle. And England certainly found that out the hard way. At least they still have a chance of going through. But sadly for, Sri Lanka, New Zealand, and now Pakistan, they are literally out. And we're going to see the likes of Afghanistan, the USA, grace the Super Sixes, and it's in some ways it's a very beautiful thing with more nations emerging, but in other ways, the more established teams have got to, buck up their ideas and get themselves together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So really, this is shaping up fairly well. Do you think Bangladesh? Well, they're pretty much nailed on for second, aren't they? Do you think? Or Netherlands still have a chance? Outside chance?
The run rate's always going to play a bit of a factor, and I think the Netherlands have to play Sri Lanka team who will be, wounded tigers looking for pride, while Bangladesh have to play. Who are they playing?
Nepal.
Yeah, so Bangladesh
Nepal.
pretty much have second place sealed, in my opinion. Unless, of course, they completely implode. But I can't see that happening, to be honest.
No, or rain happening. But yeah, even then, I think they're through anyway. With that, so yeah, I think they've got that. Of course, South Africa. I know we got to talk about your South Africa, haven't we? So we've got to mention them. I think he was saying at times he thought at times they weren't that great with the bat. I heard Hanno saying he was a bit, unimpressed with their batting at times and things like that. What do you make of it?
Well, I can tell you right now that their tour will be starting tomorrow with the first ODI taking place at the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore. And that's going to be a day. And that's going to be a day-nighter. But we will take a look at the squads, and I'm going to start right now by taking the tourist squad first. So, with your permission, I'd like to share the screen, please.
Yeah, sure, mate. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
And right, so obviously the big headline is that senior batswoman Tamsin Brits is back from injury, and sadly, vice-captain Chloe Tryon is out with a recurring back injury, but she will hope to be fit for the T20 World Cup in October in Bangladesh. And recalls for Shangase and Derrida. And, yep, Brits had actually suffered a meniscus tear and a sprained ligament on her left knee in April. And this article actually was written at the end of May. That's why it says next month. But she will, of course, will have a fitness assessment before the group departs to determine the extent of her involvement in the 3 ODIs and the one-off test. And there are also going to be some T20s that are being played. And Nondamiso Shangase, the all-rounder, off-spinner has been recalled, and wicketkeeper Maker Derrida is also included after a hand injury kept her out of the Sri Lanka series. And Lara Goodall, the batswoman, and 19-year-old Seema Ayanda Hlubi, who debuted in the ODIs in the test against Australia early in the year. These two are out. So basically for the tests and the ODIs, this is the squad right now. Wolvart still captaining the team, but Marizan Cap still very much a part of it, as is Nonkululeko Mlaba and the likes of Sune Luz, Sabata Klaas, Sinalo Jafta, and of course Anneke Bosch and Laura Wolvart captaining the team, of course. And Kaka will only be in the ODI squad, as mentioned here by the asterisk. And familiar names, as has been mentioned. And the 4-day tests will be scheduled to take place at the Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai at the end of June. And it will be concluding on the 1st of July, which will be South Africa's third in the last 2 years. And another one will be coming against England in their home country this summer. And the ODIs are the second last series of the Women's Championship, which will determine qualification for the 2025 World Cup. South Africa currently third, a point behind England. And the top 5 teams and hosts India will advance automatically to the tournament, with the remaining 2 teams to be determined via a qualifier. And it's going to be the team's going to be coached by the interim coach Dylan Dupreez, after long-serving coach Hilton Moreng has opted not to continue in the role after more than 11 years in the job. So this is the first series without Moreng as coach. And South Africa will confirm a permanent head coach before the T20 World Cup. And of course, the last time South Africa toured India in 2021, more than 3 years ago, they won the 5-match ODI series 4-1. And so 3 ODIs, the test, and then 3 T20 internationals on the 5th, 7th, and the 9th of July. So that's the South Africa squad for you. And we're going to take a look at the India squad.
Right.
Well, advertisements again, but thankfully I cleared it off. And batter Jemima, and batter Jemima Rodriguez. Yeah, certainly not the girl with the curl right in the middle of her forehead. When she's good, she's always good and very, very good. She's hardly ever bad, and therefore she's not horrid. So both Jemima Rodriguez and all-rounder Pooja Vastrkar have been named in the Test and white ball squads for the upcoming home series. And of course, their selection, like that of Brits, will be subject to fitness. Now, Rodriguez had missed the 5-match T20 international series in Bangladesh with a back injury, and she had undergone rehabilitation at the NCA in Bangalore, that's National Cricket Academy. But Vastrkar had played all 5 games, and the BCCI didn't really specify the nature of her injury. Hopefully, for India, it won't be that serious. And there's a call up for uncapped wicketkeeper batter Uma Chetri for all 3 squads, and she replaced Yastika Bhatia, who was out injured after playing just 1 T20 international in Bangladesh. And Chetri was also part of the Asian Games squad that beat Sri Lanka to win gold for India in Hangzhou in 2023. And another call-up for Priya Punia, who last played for India in 2023. That was in limited overs cricket, but she earns a call-up to the Test side. Arundhati Reddy has played 26 T20 internationals so far, but she could make her Test debut and ODI debut as well in the series. But fast bowler Titus Sadhu, who was part of the T20s against Bangladesh, as well as India's last ODI and Test assignments against Australia, she is out of the squad. And so we see the schedule over here. There's a tour game, of course, versus the board president's 11. That will be for the South Africans. And
it's just a warm-up game, really. Yeah.
Yep, and this is just confirming the schedule, really. So, in fact, the tour game actually was already played. So, I don't
June,
know if I can.
13th.
We can try and take a look at the scores if we can, and just a confirmation of the squads.
Mm.
Several players obviously featuring in both, but as you can see, Jemima and Pooja will be subject to fitness. And the T20 squad does have a standby player, Saika Ishak. 2 wicket keepers in Richa Ghosh and Uma Chetri. And as usual, it will be Harmanpreet Kaur and Smriti Mandana who will be taking on the main leadership responsibilities. So you don't see too much difference really in the squads. Almost a
No.
very similar involvement, except for maybe 1 or 2 people who only feature in one squad. And yeah, just talking about the form of these players and some more call-ups as well.
Mm.
So basically, what happens is that the squads have been selected, and there haven't really been too much in terms of headlines. And we can try and take a look at the. Yeah, this was the warm-up over here, and as you can see, it was abandoned with no result. I think weather might have played spoil sport,
Yeah.
but the as you can see, Punya played in this game, and she was bowled for 25
Mm.
by Sekukuna. And 2 other batswomen played, didn't get dismissed. And it was just not exactly a really good outing for Nasabata class, but the other bowlers, Dirksen and Sekukune, I don't think they'll be playing too much of a role in the internationals, but I think they were taken along as travelling reserves. I'm not too sure. But it really was a game which didn't really offer too much in terms of how the batswomen would be playing. So the batting will obviously be very key for South Africa, as Hanno was talking about. And the bowlers, obviously, for them, it was good to get a bit of a run out. But that's pretty much as far as it goes. And it does promise to be a fairly entertaining series. Might be hard to predict a winner here, but I do predict that it will be quite tight. And South Africa will obviously want to try to, assert their credentials, as it were. So this could be a very tight series. And, the ODI series will have 3 to be played with the only test and then 3 T20 internationals. I could see both the ODI and T20 series going 2-1 in the way of India simply because, they have mastery of their conditions. But don't discount South Africa. They are really, 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 an aggressive team. I think
It's going to be a close
will.
thing. I think. I don't think. I don't think it's going to go. Like thrashing from either side. I think it's going to be tight. I can't see it. Both great teams. So, India are not going to thrash South Africa. I don't mean, or vice versa. So, it's going to be a close thing. But both, I think it's T20s and ODIs, isn't it? So. Is there 3 games of each? I think there's 3 of each, isn't there?
Yes,
both,
yes, there are 3 games of each for ODIs and T20s. You're right, and of course there is the only test, and it will remain to be seen how that goes. Probably with India's array of spinners, they should have the advantage for the test, but that will also remain to be seen, especially how the South Africans are able to play. And notoriously, South Africans do have a problem playing spin. Maybe only a few players are able to master that art and have been able to do so over the years. But it should be a fun series, interesting series, and we'll see how everything pans out. But again, a lot will depend on the fitness of the likes of Tamsin Brits and also Jemima Rodriguez and Pooja Vastakar, because those are going to be 3 big players who will have an impact on their respective teams.
Yeah. Bargo's saying, how's the tournament? He's asking there. How you think it's going, I suppose, or any good
Bhargav,
or
listen, I mean, you obviously live over there in the States. Big up to you, by the way. And we also had Chris Welsh in the chat. Big up to him as well. Bhargav, you live in Florida. You live over there. I'm sure you must have been watching some of the games. I don't know which sports channel would have been broadcasting them for you. I'd like to think ESPN would have stepped up, but um, you know, Steve and I were just talking about how it's become a little bit like the FA Cup with big teams getting knocked out in the early stages.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we're going to bounce in a little while, mate. Well, very soon now, because obviously the football started, as we all know. The Euros, Germany and Scotland. So obviously you want to go and have a look at that. But quickly, how do you think? I'm going to obviously quick preview now. England, Namibia. Can you see that going ahead? And what will happen? Do you think England will make any changes or keep it pretty much the same?
I don't think they will make any changes because obviously, I was about to say that I still go back on Topley and Sam Curran, and I do think that Curran has some really fine qualities. He can also lend some really good swing with the ball, which makes him a very good death bowler as well. But, if it isn't broken, I suppose you can't really fix it. And, with Archer and Wood bowling very well and Rashid also proving that he's far from rash. And I don't even think Moeen Ali got to bowl in that game.
No.
So if it isn't broken, I don't really think you should fix it. And maybe there is some merit in Topley, getting his line right. And when he does get his lines right, he is absolutely unplayable. The only problem is, so many left-arm seamers face a problem. If they get their lines absolutely wrong, they get completely pasted, Yeah, as I was saying, if a left-arm seamer gets his line wrong, he gets pasted.
Fingers crossed, it's going to go ahead, the game. And
don't forget Australia-Scotland. That has to go ahead too.
Yeah.
Australia-Scotland.
But, yeah, obviously we're thinking about the one we got to win. And do you think, I think Namibia will be more of a challenge than Oman. They got more about them, I think, to do something, especially the bowling. So if we won the toss again, would you say we should bowl yet again or try batting?
Well, I'm going to take a look and see where that game is being played because obviously, our sort of modus operandi, as it were, has been
Antigua again. I think the same ground they played before, wasn't it? The same one that
let me take a look at that. No, it says it's at a place called North Sound. I'm not too sure where that
West
is.
Indies, isn't it?
It is in Antigua. So it is in Antigua. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So we played 2 games in Barbados and 2 games in Antigua, home, of course, of Sir Vivian Richards and Sir Curtly Ambrose. 2
legends.
And the scourge of many England teams in days gone by. And hopefully, if there is set to be rain, it won't last as long as it did in Barbados, where several of those several games were affected horribly, and there might have been some rain for this one, but I think it just went ahead, and we're going to have to make sure that we. In fact, I actually do have the preview here, so let's run through this quickly, if we may.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah, so I'll share the screen once again with your permission. Thank you very much indeed, good sir. And imposing victory over Oman means that routine win against Namibia should suffice for qualification. Have the real England stood up at last? A 19-ball run chase against an outclassed Oman can hardly count as proof that all is right once again, but at least the speed and certainty of that performance has placed England's progress back in their own hands. They vaulted their net run rate over that of the Scots. That's right, jocks. We're one up on you now. They can now breathe easy in the knowledge that as long as they win against Namibia,
you cannot handle it, Scotland.
Hey. Any magnitude against Namibia will improve that figure and be enough to keep them on course for the Super 8. But there is a seed of uncertainty so long as Scotland will have a chance of landing the shock of the tournament by beating Australia in Group B's final game on Sunday. But with Pat Cummins having already declared that the spirit of cricket is at stake in that contest after a week of speculation about go slows, it's safe to assume that the Aussies will give their all, as they invariably do on the world stage. Of course, as I said, they will look to bring some fringe players in with qualification confirmed. But those players are going to be determined to do well against Scotland.
They're still very good players, the ones they're bringing in. They'll still be good players. They're still good enough.
Oh, absolutely. Just like the players that we could bring in, Sam Curran, who was a part of that. I'm sorry, I'm taking the mickey. And Chris Jordan isn't half bad. I think.
Duckett.
Yeah, Duckett as well, your boy.
Yeah.
And
Hartley.
yes.
Yeah.
He has heart, does Tom. So Australia did that when they bowled Namibia out for 72 on Tuesday, and it was almost identical to England's crushing of Oman, but they took almost twice as long as we did. But they lost one wicket less. And anything Zampa did, Rashid did slightly better. 4 for 12 to 4 for 11. The only real difference was in the resistance offered by Namibia's captain, Gerhard Erasmus, in his doughty 36 from 43 balls. So England have no room for complacency, and that's one thing on which you and I can agree. But confidence should surely beget confidence, and they've restored a degree of agency to their tournament narrative. It would be one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history if they let that qualification chance slip now, before Scotland have their shot at ruining the party on Sunday. And of course, two cricketers in the spotlight. We were talking about him, Adil Rashid. A remarkable 20 dot balls out of his 24. Brilliant. Absolutely magnificent. Commander flight and variation demanded guesswork from an inexperienced Oman middle order. And now it's going to be up to him to try to produce something similar against Namibia. And now you can see the last line says it all. He's now settled into his game. He's
sorry, mate. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Say what you want to say.
No, I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to be so easy against them. I don't think they're as pushovers, this Namibia, as Oman were. You know,
they might not be. They might not be.
It's going to be tough.
They might not be.
No, sorry, mate. Go
yes,
carry on.
You and I can agree. No, please don't apologise. What you said is perfectly valid, and you and I both agree that Namibia are, a tough team. And you do remember, of course, that game in 2003 where they very nearly beat us on the Duckworth-Lewis calculations, only to, end up slightly faltering. But they gave us a real run for their money. Yeah. Yep. I've never had a berry burger before, but certainly if burger had one, it would have been the berry on top of the icing on the cake. But as you can see now, Rashid is a lot more settled. He's grown into his work, and as with Shane Warne in that series, you now see what how much of a difference time in the middle makes, especially for spinners, especially for someone like Rashid. And as far as Namibia are concerned, they've got David Visa, South African, of course, former South Africa international. So Hannah will be rooting for him to upset our apple cart. And at the age of 39, this could be a last hurrah on the big stage for him. He's been a mainstay of Namibia's fortune since changing his allegiance from South Africa in 2021. And he was also a part of their 2016 World T20 squad. Now, obviously, when Namibia played Oman, he was integral to their victory. He took 3 wickets and was absolutely outstanding in the super over, but wasn't as effective against Scotland and Australia. And you see, this Namibia team actually struggled to beat Oman, so Oman can go away with some pride intact. At least we'll remember they were at the World Cup. And he needs to be back at his best in order to cause us a few problems. And
the thing is, they're out. Well, they want to go out with a big scout now of England. Will they want that, do you think?
They could.
That's the thing.
So as far as the team news is concerned, Absolutely, but will remain to be seen. I mean, obviously, we have to try to look for some possible weaknesses and target them. And so far, their batting hasn't really stood up to scrutiny for the most part. So they could be ripe to be attacked by Archer, Wood, and company. And if we take a look at the team news further, you wanted Topley back in. You called it, and it was brilliant because with his point of delivery, left arm, to complement the pace of Archer and Wood, it provided that sort of a combination. It sort of softened them up a little bit in some ways, and then Archer and Wood moved in for the kill. And it was all too hot to handle for Oman. But there could be a temptation to rest either or both of the latter because there's a 2-day turnaround between matches. And any victory should keep England on track for qualification, unless, of course, the Scotland-Australia game gets completely washed out or Scotland do the unthinkable, which I can't see happening. So it could very well be that Sam Curran might come in or Chris Jordan could slot back in. I don't see Jordan slotting back in because, yes, he's got his landmark, but when you take a look at the way he was bowling, he wasn't getting his lines at all right, and he was being hoiked over for mid-wicket, was being pasted for runs too frequently. I think Sam Curran is a different sort of left-arm seamer to Topley. He's obviously a lot shorter than Rees, so he doesn't really, offer a high point of delivery. But his action is quite whippy, and he can provide some good swing. And he also will strengthen the batting in many ways. So I actually think that Curran could end up coming in, and
possible.
Yeah, so maybe you could rest Mark Wood, bring Curran in, and we'll see what the possible team is. Obviously, Salt and Butler are expected to continue at the top of the order with Jackson, Bairstow still there. So sadly, no Duckett. Sorry about that, mate. But Brooke, Livingston, Ali will be there. It could either be Jofra Archer or Sam Curran. It could be Mark Wood or Chris Jordan. My guess is that it would... I'm not too sure why Sam Curran would come in for Jofra Archer because, Archer's now gotten back to something like his best, and you want him to keep that momentum.
Keep him going, surely.
Yeah, I'd drop Mark Wood and bring Sam Curran in, and then you'd have Adil Rashid and Rees Topley. And as far as Namibia are concerned, they mixed things up in their last outing against Australia with Ben Shikongo and Jack Brassel making their first appearances of the campaign and potentially last as well because, I mean, they were launched for a combined tally of 33 runs and 10 balls. Only the 23-year-old Dylan Leisha, the batsman, has yet to be given an outing. But with their qualifications chances over, they could change their batting lineup again. And you need to take a look out for the likes of Ruben Trumpelman and Tanjani Lungameni, seamers, who can be sharp on their day, but also have a tendency to not be quite accurate. Zane Green is a fine wicketkeeper batsman. Obviously, Erasmus, the captain, is a fine middle-order batsman. JP Kutzer, Nicholas Davin, Jean Freelink, JJ Smith, Bernard Schultz. These are decent cricketers. And these guys are obviously going to try to perform within their limitations and see how well they do. And, the best part about the Antigua pitch was that there was a carry in the surface and the degree of spin that Rashid extracted. So, there's been clear skies and another full contest is in prospect. And I don't know if there is going to be rain. I don't think it will affect things for too long. So it could very well be more of the same for England. Win the toss, bowl first, smack them all out for a low score, allow Salt, Butler and company to pack off the runs. And of course...
sounds easy, doesn't it? Sounds a piece of cake, that, doesn't it?
And of course, this is the 2003 World Cup match I was talking about. Jan Berry Berger.
Yeah.
Also, another name to remember is Rudy van Vuren, who made history by being the first player to play in both the cricket and rugby World Cups. He also happens to be a qualified doctor. So Alex Stewart was captain, top scored with 60 off 77. Van Vuren, in fact, took 5 wickets that day, so well done to him. And the likes of Yep, Jan-Barry Berger also took a wicket, but was fairly expensive, along with Jerry Sneeman at the beginning. So both Sneeman and Van Vuren taking 8 wickets between them from their 20 overs. Captain for the day, Dion Cox, took another wicket. And look at these names, a blast from the past. Craig White, Ronnie Irani, Andrew Caddick,
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy
I remember
Anderson,
them all.
Ian
Remember them.
Blackwell.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, remember them names. Remember them blokes. Yeah.
Yep. And
Very
of course, with
good
Namibia,
players, most of them. Good players, some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Craig
But,
White was a wonderful all-rounder who could have, achieved great things, but was injured far too often for his liking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you saying something?
No, I was just I wasn't really saying anything, Manny, but I just think, I just hope it does go on, this game. It sounds like it probably will. It won't be rain affected. So yeah, get a good win if we can, a really convincing win. But I don't think Namibia are any pushovers. They're not Oman. They're going to be more of a test, a little bit more. Don't turn up thinking you've won this, England. Just get it done and make sure. Take it seriously,
Exactly.
I think we need to.
And now you see the innings, of course. Yeah, now you see the Namibia innings, the Berger at the very top. There was another Berger, 2 other Bergers, in fact, Lewis Berger and Cyril Berger, who played. But it was
a
Jan
double
Berry.
cheeseburger, yeah.
A triple cheeseburger, if you will. But it was Jan Berry, obviously, who stole the headlines. Yeah. And he had a 97 run partnership with ex-captain Danny Coulter, who was run out by a combination of skipper and his deputy. Gavin Murgatroyd, a very Scottish-sounding name right there, bowled by Mr. Irani for 24. And apart from those 3, not too many contributions. Melt Van Schuur and Rudy Van Vuren down the order, but that was pretty much it. A couple of golden ducks as well. And but at one point, they were actually about to, they could have won on the Duckworth-Lewis calculations because they were going very well. And they were going quite swimmingly, even when Danny Coulter was batting with Murgatroyd. But when he got out, I think it was a case of wickets falling in a bit of a clump. And eventually England ended up winning. But it was a tough game. And Irani took 3 wickets, 2 each for White and Flintoff, 1 for Jimmy. Andy Caddick was economical but wicketless. And Mike Vaughan turned his arm over for a few off tweakers but didn't get a wicket. So obviously, these 2, that Namibian team and this Namibian team are chalk and cheese. They're completely light years away. But I think Namibia might want to summon the spirit of that team and try and get the Bergers, Van Vuren, the likes of Coulter and Kutzer and company, and just remember those good days and remember that good day, and maybe they can try and get something out of it. But as far as England are concerned, it's their match to win and it's their qualification to try and seal. And if they don't seal qualification, well, I think, it's just a sad postscript to their decline as a limited overs force in a way. But hopefully they'll get...
If they really do turn up and play their A game, Manny, they turn up and play the way they can, they should be too much for Namibia, should be too much.
Yes, surely. They should be, but you know how cricket is. It's a funny old game, as Jimmy Greaves himself would say.
Yeah, speaking of funny old games, in football, Germany are 1-0 up. I just want to give that update against Scotland. Wirtz has scored. 2-0 now, in fact.
Oh boy! I predicted a 3-1. As the Kaiser Chiefs would say, I predict a riot.
Yeah, well, I've got the right result at the moment, 2-0. I put 2-0 Germany, but unfortunately, I may get a few more for Scotland. I feel sorry for them, but in this anyway, maybe not in the cricket, but yeah. So But anyway, Manny, it's been a good stream again, great stream, and obviously thanks to everyone that's come into the live chat again. Bargav, Chelsea fan, Chris Welch, Anna, of course, didn't grace us with his presence, unfortunately, but I'm sure he's obviously got other things he's doing. He's probably doing a watch along for the football or something, I expect, or whatever. Maybe. So I know there is a few watch alongs on, I think, for that. So I may join one later. But yeah, where can we find you, mate, before we go?
Well, first of all, big up to you. You can find me over here on Mr. B Talks England Cricket. You can also catch me on the Mr. B Hive of Football chat. I've learnt my lesson. Talk slowly.
Got it right, mate. Got it right.
Yeah, occasionally for the debate show and any other streams.
Yeah.
Also, catch me on Del Boy Gunner TV, Coach's Corner, of course, with Hanno very often. Also, Oris Talks Football, up the cherries in all departments. We actually did a Euro preview stream where we were discussing all of the 24 teams' chances. So do please check that out. I was having a bit of rather, spirited, if not heated debate with Chris from Leicester Till I Die TV about Southgate and his merits or lack thereof. And that is obviously going to be a great deal of fun. Also, the Gun Down UK podcast, me and Carl do the Flammable Thursdays and Saturday Night Fever video series. Also, Spurs U Asia TV, AFC Talk Show TV, Tony Claude Gunner TV, Danny AFC TV, and Huddersfield Town Fan TV, of course. I'm sure he'll be doing a watch along for the England game, and I might possibly be joining him, perhaps. I don't know. We'll have to see. And several other channels, which, I've had the pleasure of being on. Can't name them. My brain is, of course, fried. It is close to my bedtime, but as always, they are very special to me. And if they don't believe me, they know what's coming in the post. And nothing much else to say, except I do hope that you all enjoy the sporting action to be taking place over the course of these next few weeks. Of course, in cricket and football, it's a wonderful, wonderful summer, wonderful time of the year, as always. And the most important thing as well, whether you're on a stream on YouTube or dealing with people in real life, is to make sure that you treat people the way you'd like to be treated. And if you can't agree to disagree with anyone without being disagreeable, then there's no point in having a discussion or any kind of a relationship. So, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It's not just a biblical creed, it's a universal creed. Enjoy the football, enjoy the cricket, enjoy your weekend, be safe and be happy, and don't do anything that Mr. B or I wouldn't do. But for now, as always, farewell to thee, good night, goodbye, God bless to all of you, and we'll see you soon.
Once again, I echo all that, my friend, echo everything you just said, and as I say, big up to my co-host here. Well, it's not Manny, it's Hanno, because of his channel. Although Manny, I could consider a co-host to me as well.
Yeah, the only reason why I added the co-host thing was because I was expecting to do it with Hanno, but I do apologise.
I'm happy with that, mate. You asked what kind of a co-host, so. But no, I mean, with Hanno's, obviously Hanno's Coach's Corner. Go and follow that channel. Brilliant. He's got loads of great content, loads of different sports, cricket, boxing. He does do boxing, doesn't he? Does he do boxing? Well, maybe not. I know he does rugby and things like that, and other things, obviously cricket. But plenty of good stuff, and he's got loads of subs. I can't even go into them at the moment. He's got way more than I have. Let's put it that way, than a lot of us probably. But, go and check him out there. It's brilliant. And obviously, follow me down here, Mr. B, on Instagram at Mr. B for Life 182. And subscribe. Get them subs up. Still only on 22. Please get them going up. And obviously got loads more content to come. Watch-alongs for, obviously, maybe still the cricket. Hopefully with England, when they get through. That'd be great. And, of course, with the football, we've got that coming up. We've already started, as we know. Germany tuning up. Sorry for spoilers if anyone isn't watching it, but I'm sure a lot of people are. But anyway,
I can,
for now,
I can also confirm right now that I think they've, a penalty has been awarded, but they're checking whether the foul was just outside the box. We'll find out soon enough. But if it is a penalty, I can only see it going, nope, no penalty, just outside.
oh,
So Scotland have a
okay.
lifeline.
Well, that's all right then, because I can end this now without, I thought we was going to go into that for a minute, but no. But thanks to everyone that has watched, and keep watching my content coming up. And for now, we are out of here. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.